Welcome back to our channel. The 1975-cent coin introduction. Importance of the 5-cent coin in American currency. Overview of what the 1970 nickel represents in terms of numismatics. Historical background of the nickel. Origin of the 5-cent coin in the U.S. monetary system. Evolution of designs and metallic compositions from the 19th century to the present. The 1970 nickel design and composition. Description of the obverse and reverse designs. Details about the minting process in 1970. Composition changes leading to this year, including the transition from silver. Economic context of the 1970s. The economic climate in the U.S. during the 1970s. Inflation rates, economic policies, and their impact on coin production. Minting and production data. Mintage figures for the 1970 nickel. Comparison with years prior and following. Collectibility and rarity factors affecting the collectibility of the 1970 nickel. Grading and valuation. How condition impacts worth. Examination of circulation finds versus uncirculated examples. Numismatic significance. The role of the 1970 nickel in coin collecting. Analysis of collector trends and demand for nickels from this era. Market value trends. Historical market value evaluation from the time of minting to present. The impact of economic conditions and collector interest over the years. Variations and errors. Notable varieties or errors associated with the 1970 nickel. How these variations can affect the value of the coin. Comparative analysis with other nickels. How the 1970 nickel stands against other nickels from different decades. The significance of different mint marks and their impact on value. Future of the nickel. Discussions about the future of the 5-cent coin in a cashless society. Speculations about the continued interest in the 1970 nickel. Conclusion. Recap of the main themes and insights related to the 1970 nickel. Reflection on its continuing legacy in American numismatics. Expanded sections. Here's a detailed expansion of a few selected sections. Historical background of the nickel. The 5-cent coin, colloquially known as the nickel, has a rich history that dates back to the Coinage Act of 1866, which established the -1 cent piece as a distinct unit of currency, initially made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The nickel has undergone several transformations in both design and composition. Early designs featured figures such as Liberty and mythical creatures, but the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, became the standard obverse design in 1938, which remained intact up until the present with minor modifications. The introduction of the Jefferson nickel marked a shift toward a more recognizable and historically significant representation on U.S. currency. The 1970 nickel design and composition. The 1970 nickel retained the same design as its predecessors, showcasing a profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the front and an image of Monticello, his Virginia home, on the reverse. The coin was minted primarily in a combination of copper and nickel that consisted of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It was part of the larger 1965-1970 series when the United States was adjusting its coinage due to silver shortages. The minting of these coins reflected broader economic transformations and was essential in maintaining the legitimacy and stability of American currency. Market value trends. When initially released, nickels held their face value in commerce, and the 1970 nickel was no exception. However, as the numismatic market began to flourish in the late 20th century, collectors started to pay close attention to coins from the 1970s, especially those in uncirculated conditions, such as those graded MS-65 and above. Over the years, while still a relatively common coin, high-grade specimens began to garner attention during the coin collecting boom of the 1980s. Today, the value can range significantly based on condition and rarity, often falling between 5 cents for circulated pieces to upwards of $1 or more for uncirculated examples. Introduction. Importance of the 5-cent coin in American currency. The nickel not only represents a practical value in everyday transactions, but it also symbolizes a rich historical narrative within American monetary policy. Overview of what the 1970 nickel represents. In terms of numismatics, including its unique position in the transition of U.S. coinage during a decade marked by significant economic change. Historical background of the nickel. Origin of the 5-cent coin in the U.S. monetary system, tracing its roots back to the mid-1800s, when the United States first adopted a decimal-based currency. Evolution of designs and metallic compositions from the 19th century to the present, highlighting notable designs such as the Shield nickel, Liberty Head nickel, and the modern Jefferson nickel. The 1970 nickel design and composition. Description of the obverse and reverse designs, focusing on the iconic profile of Thomas Jefferson and Monticello that has become synonymous with American numismatists. Details about the minting process in 1970, including the facilities involved and the technological advancements that allowed for efficient production. Composition changes leading to this year, including the transition from silver, reflecting broader economic trends and shortages. Economic context of the 1970s. The economic climate in the U.S. during the 1970s characterized by high inflation, tumultuous political events, and shifting consumer behaviors that influenced currency circulation. Inflation rates, economic policies, and their impact on coin production, which forced the U.S. Mint to adapt its strategies in meeting public demand for smaller denominations. Minting and production data. Mintage figures for the 1970 nickel, detailing quantities produced by different mint locations such as Philadelphia and Denver. Comparison with years prior and following, providing insight into how annual production levels reflect changes in demand and numismatic interest. Collectibility and rarity. Factors affecting the collectibility of the 1970 nickel, including rarity, demand, and condition that can all considerably alter its marketplace appeal. Grading and valuation. How condition impacts worth. Explaining the coin grading scale and its relevance for collectors and investors alike. Examination of circulation finds versus uncirculated examples, illustrating the market differences for coins that have seen extensive use compared to those preserved in pristine condition. Numismatic significance. The role of the 1970 nickel in coin collecting, specifically how it fits within larger collections and its appeal to both novice and seasoned collectors. Analysis of collector trends and demand for nickels from this era, noting fluctuations in interest over the decades and how they align with broader numismatic trends. Market value trends. Historical market value evaluation from the time of minting to present, showcasing how economic factors and collector trends have shaped the coin's perceived value over time. The impact of economic conditions and collector interest over the years, particularly during economic recessions or booms that affect disposable income and expenditure on hobbies like coin collecting. Variations and errors. Notable varieties or errors associated with the 1970 nickel, including any unique minting anomalies that significantly increase value among collectors. How these variations can affect the value of the coin, with particular emphasis on the most sought-after errors and their characteristics. Comparative analysis with other nickels. How the 1970 nickel stands against other nickels from different decades, evaluating design changes, material differences, and collector interest throughout U.S. history. The significance of different mint marks and their impact on value, demonstrating how subtle changes can lead to significant differences in collectibility. Future of the nickel. Discussions about the future of the 5-cent coin in a cashless society, pondering whether denominations like the nickel will remain relevant or face extinction. Speculations about the continued interest in the 1970 nickel, considering the nostalgia and historical significance that may drive future collectors' conclusion. Recap of the main themes and insights related to the 1970 nickel, stressing its importance not just as currency but as a collectible item steeped in history, Reflection on its continuing legacy in American numismatics, emphasizing how understanding such coins can enhance appreciation for the broader narrative of U.S. financial history. Thanks for watching my videos, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.